Welcome to the Radio Horror YouTube channel. I was trying to pull out of the library. I actually have all three adaptations of the films in book format. Shockingly, book adaptations are not that popular anymore, probably because of the internet. This was like the only way for people to once upon a time look at a film. I'm Dr. Chris, this is Katie, and we're going to talk about all three of the Halloween movies by David Gordon Green, which actually all three of them have novelizations, which is pretty damn funny when you think about it. They're written by three different authors, too. The third one's written by the screenplay writer of this film, the main one, the one that just came out, the most popular one of all the Halloween movies ever written, as popular as Halloween 6 and H2 and Halloween 5 and do you remember when this series ended with her chopping off Michael Myers' head and that was the end of it?
Yes, and then it turns out it wasn't Michael Myers' head, and it was a ambulance driver, and she went nuts because she killed an innocent person.
Yeah, I never watched that movie again after I saw it the one time in theaters. Yes, I own it because it comes in the set, but I will never rewatch that movie again because I think the further and further away I get it from my memory, the older I get, I'll completely forget it exists. In my opinion, she chopped off the head. That's it. Start Rob Zombie's reboot series. One of the best things that could have come out of that film is if you watch or listen to. Oh, it's right here. Hold on, I have it. Oh, I got a good prop. If my bookcase doesn't only collapse me grabbing it. If you read this novel, oh, I forgot I'm on the green screen. Ah, there it is. Taking Shape or Taking Shape 2. This is like a thick as hell book. This is 500 pages written about the history of the Halloween movies, and Taking Shape 2 is all about the 20 to 30 different sequels that never ever happened based on the original films prior to David Gordon Green's saga. Because they do talk about that in there, but there's no reason to include it in the book because those are sequels that actually have happened, shockingly. Now, whether or not they happen the way they wanted them to is a whole other story because of the COVID pandemic changed so much in Hollywood, and you watch films and go, wow, this is like three different scripts, or you can see all the social distancing. In Kills, you don't see the social distancing at times, which makes a lot of sense. But we'll spend a little bit of time on the first one, 2018, Kills and Ends. I love 18. I still love H2O a hell of a lot more. But I understand why Kills is better than 2018 is better than H2O. But Kills follows 2018 and Ends was whatever they were trying to do with this movie and stuff. It just honestly it felt like the Dark Knight Rises of this entire trilogy. But the Dark Knight Rises was the same thing, like, I don't know.
So I'm going to disagree, but yes, Halloween Ends, which came out Friday, November 14th, directed by David Gordon Green and starring, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Andy Matejek, I think, is Allison, Ronan Campbell as Casey, and Will Patton as Frank. It starts out 1 year after the 2018, everything that happened in Halloween Kills. A beautiful opening scene, like nothing like the other two films. I honestly, watching this, I thought it was completely different director. Like the cinematography, the bird's eye view. I mean, all of these different artistic, like really gorgeous shots that they did. I just looked nothing like Halloween or Halloween Kills, which is very, very cool. It starts out with Casey, who's babysitting this little kid named Jeremy. Jeremy is an a-hole. and he's a little kid, that it's like, wow, this is what babysitting is really like. There's so many different like little nods to horror. It's like, this isn't funny, you need to come out, which I thought was very, very funny. And then you know, a tragedy happens. Casey is thrust into this whole world of basically kind of what Halloween is, because it's on Halloween night when horrible things happen. Like that's just you now, especially in Haddonfield. Like you are labeled this killer or a baby killer or anything and everything, even though it was a complete accident. That's it. One of the things that so watching the film, there's so many things that go on. Like it's barely Michael Myers. Laurie Strode has kind of like, you know,
Laurie Cunningham.
what Laurie Strode has kind of definitely loosened up. She's not so much Linda Hamilton as
Cut her hair.
Oh, she cut her hair like 1 inch. Okay, she cut her hair 1 inch. Give me a break. She doesn't have like the Jamie Lee Curtis haircut. So I know that Chris is bringing that up because Frank, who's played by Will Patton, brings it up. It's very cute. It's one of those like, you know, they're really trying hard to flirt. But after the whole thing happens with Corey, it's 4 years later. You know, Laurie's now in town. She's living with her granddaughter Allison, and you know, it definitely took a turn. There's some major things about it that I did not like a number of the townspeople blaming Laurie for what happened. Like she's responsible for the whole thing of Michael Myers, which she didn't drive the bus. She didn't say you should transport him. She didn't tell him to kill anybody. She didn't. It's like there are certain people like, you taunted him. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like she did not bring him to her house. She did not bring him anywhere. Like he went home, she didn't take him there. I was really, really annoyed by that. But it's also, I think, Gordon Green's attempt at cancel culture. Like you're going to blame someone for anything. Like this is a movie about trauma, breeding trauma, feeding on trauma, and you know, just what happens. Like when I know I did a review earlier and people were like, well, you know, it's been a while, people should get over that. You don't get over this. Like, I mean, it took her 40 years. Like people judge the fact that it's like 40 years later, 3 of her friends had died. Yeah, 3 of her best friends had died. Please let me know how long the shelf life of that you're supposed to mourn and be traumatized, because Jesus Christ, that's a huge event. Like that's not something you just get over, no matter how much therapy it is. So then imagine this in 2018, there's like quadruple the body count, not to mention her daughter has been murdered, her son-in-law has been murdered.
They're like 38 people or something like that, they said, between kills and 18.
Yeah, I mean, that's like
12 of them were firefighters.
Jesus, there's like 10 firefighters that die in the beginning of Kills alone.
That's the overkill part of Kills that was ridiculous.
Well, and also, I mean, that was brutal. Like there were some good kills in Halloween Ends.
Yeah, like they call it Michael Myers versus the heroes of 9/11.
Yeah.
That's literally, that's all I kept hearing about was Michael Myers versus 9/11. You know, and I was like, ouch, maybe, sure, but
I didn't hear that. I heard a lot of stuff. It's like Michael Myers hates first responders. I'm like, I don't really know that Michael Myers actually likes anyone. So
Michael Myers is not even a person. He's just a thing that needs to kill to be.
He's a shark.
Here's the kill. I feel better now.
He's a shark. It's not like you can say he likes or dislikes something. I mean,
she said the word. She said the word they said in the movie. He's a shark.
Yeah. I did. He's a shark.
And they said, and Laurie says it, he has to kill in order to go on. That was the thing at the end of the last, it kills. And then sure enough in here, he's all like, oh, I'm old. I'm in my late 60s, I'm assuming, based on the math that I did. Born in 1957, I'm assuming he's in his late 60s and pushing into 70. And he's all like, I'm very old. Oh, here, let me help you kill somebody. Oh, Michael Myers gets up. You notice he like rises.
I know. I mean, I know in this one he kind of just like gets out of a sort of a hole and
Yeah, like when
just
he
sucks
when
out.
he when he gets to finally kill somebody, he stands up erect.
Oh, I mean that is true. But I mean, I feel like it's like this whole thing with him and Corey, it's like Corey's I don't know, there's so many things about this film that has like major stereotypes, like the fact that Corey's like, he I think he was imprisoned or something. There was a trial, but of what happened. But I mean, the whole town has just like turned on him. They're always going to call him like a baby killer and all that stuff. And then he has this mother who is just so
Oh,
stereotypically like every single like textbook you have about a serial killer. It's like, why don't you just put all of those examples into the mother? It's like she's overbearing, she's abusive, she's verbally abusive, she's physically abusive, and then she like kisses him inappropriately. I'm like, dude, woman, you're all over the place. It's like if your son isn't going to like go off the rails, it's, believe me, you're pushing him there big time. But I love
she's
the
the mother
fact
from
that
Pennywise. She's the
and
mother
she's the mother from Real Genius.
or it. Oh, real like the show.
No, the Real Genius, the movie.
Oh, I was thinking of like the mom from It when I said Pennywise,
Oh, yeah, I mean, kind of
or
like the
Dave,
over.
or Polka Dot Man's mom from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a horrible mother,
Yeah.
which is just,
Too bad the
uh,
stepfather doesn't, you know, have more to
and
do.
his stepfather just placates everything that the mom does, and
But gives him the
just
motorcycle. He does love him.
yeah, which it's great, which I thought gave me like a little bit of Grease 2 vibes, but I know they were going for Christine. I mean, especially with his last name and everything like that, which I do love the fact that, I mean, throughout the film, you've got a little bit of Christine, the Thing, very obvious the Thing because they showed it on TV. So they're giving all these like, ooh, hey, Carpenter, we love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. It's like, okay, we get it. This is John Carpenter's baby. And, we like that you're doing this stuff. But there's just a lot of stuff with the town that I thought was kind of, I mean, there's like saying the R word. No matter where Lori goes, they're like taunting her and blaming her for everything that happened. Like, oh, this person's your neighbor. You don't even say hi to her. It's like, neighbor from what? Like when she lived in the woods and like had nothing around her for 5 miles, or neighbor in the city? I mean, I'm confused. Like, you're showing her this woman, and I can guarantee she doesn't know who she is. There's a lot of people, again, that Michael did horrible things to and killed. That is not her fault. Maybe blame Dr. Satan, who is the one who's like, hey, when's the best time to transfer Michael Myers? On Halloween, because that makes no sense. But as much as I had issues with the film, there was a light bulb that went out, or not went out, that went off, that came on when I thought about it. And it's that David Gordon Green is just remaking Halloween 1, 2, and Season of the Witch. I mean, that is exactly what these films are. Halloween, set mostly in a house with Lori, doing her thing, and she ends up babysitting her daughter and her granddaughter. Halloween 2, set primarily in a hospital while the rest of the town is looking for Michael Myers. Halloween 3 totally goes off the rails. This one at least focuses on Michael. However, there is a central thing that is not mentioned, is barely mentioned, but is not seen in the film, which I think is a key character in every single Halloween film, which is the house. You don't see Michael Myers' house at all in this film. They make a little bit of comment that the house was destroyed 4 years ago, and that's it. I mean, the house is like a huge part of all these Halloween movies, I feel. From the beginning, anytime you have talk about Michael Myers, it's like he's drawn back there. That's his childhood. That's like his, Velveteen Rabbit kind of he goes to, and that was not a part of the film, which I thought was very interesting. And I thought that was kind of the way they did that with Halloween 3. But yeah, I basically feel like David Gordon Green has remade these films in his way. You see the font on all three of the films, they're exactly the same as the originals. I will say that this film definitely makes it 2022. Anybody can be a bully, everybody, anybody, even the marching band, which those people were just completely ridiculous that they're bullying anybody. But hey,
Oh, they were the best characters to get killed off. The ones that threw Corey off the bridge. You mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
spoiler.
I didn't realize they were in. I didn't realize they were in a marching band.
They said they were a band. I'm saying it's a marching band because
Oh,
I don't
okay.
believe it. But they
Well, I don't
definitely
know. One of them looked. It looked like a
someone else
punk
said it was
band.
marching band too. Someone else said it was marching band too. But they definitely had two, at least one of my favorite kills. The other one was the DJ, who that scene was just absolutely ridiculous. And at
the
least you
only
can have what?
the only good part about that DJ is the fact that Darcy the mail girl from Joe Bob Briggs' show was in that scene is in the movie for the brief 5 seconds turnaround, and then I was like, please tell me there's more with Darcy. I mean, she's this iconic horror hostess with Joe Bob, and she posted that there's more. I guess there is apparently an uncut version of this movie going to come out on the DVD and Blu-ray. We'll see. How much is
Okay.
uncut? Who knows?
Because I would like to see her more. I thought Darcy was great, even though it's like a split second. And she has a cute little bob, which I like that. See, that is a haircut. That is a significant haircut. But the DJ having his tongue ripped out and then on the turntable, choom, choom, choom. That was funny. That was great. There's a
He's like the
lot
DJ in Halloween 6.
yeah, there's a lot of ridiculous old school 1980s sexual harassment. There's some ridiculous lines. Just throwback, horror lines.
Oh, you mean Allison's boss?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
like you're
bullying.
only gonna get the job unless you're obviously like her friend who slept with the boss, because see what
Definitely
happens to
sleeping
them.
with the boss, who at the boss is like a poor man's Tom Atkins, which is great. But again, it did again reminded me of Halloween 3 because Tom Atkins getting together with the honey and that. I mean, he's a sexy man even now. I've met him many times. Yum. But yeah, there's just so many things that I was like, what? And at the same time, I liked it better than Halloween and Halloween Kills. I mean, it is beyond ridiculous how they completely changed the story again, just like Season of the Witch. But it is a movie about trauma and survival. All the things going on with the town turning against Lori, cancel culture, just trying to survive when, you have all of these obstacles against you. Also trying maybe have a little bit of love, even though that's nearly impossible. But how do you do that? You do that with someone who's gone through as much trauma as you. Poor little Frank, who, God, rewatching Halloween Kills, damn, that kid could not shoot worth a damn. I mean, besides hitting his friend and killing him, he's got to be one of the worst shots in cinematic history I've ever seen. Like, honestly, it's like Michael Myers was right there so many times and he just completely missed him. Way to
Hmm.
go, Frank. I blame you more than Lori regarding why Michael Myers has done all this stuff. But I did not hate this film. I did kind of hate it when I left, and then I realized this is they just redid 1, 2, and 3, and then I appreciated it more. But I mean, I thought the performances were great. I thought the processional when spoiler, Michael does finally meet his demise. I do kind of wish when that did happen, that he actually would have still been alive. I don't know, maybe that's just mean to me and that's just truly evil, but as much damage as he has done and as much killing and the body count that he's had, it would have, I think, just been a little bit of justification if he still would have just been breathing when, again, spoiler, They put him in the grinder at the what is it, at the car place where you just
Yeah, the place that Corey worked for
yeah,
his
what
stepfather's place.
yeah, I know that, but like, what's the grinder called? It's just a grinder for
Oh,
cars and all that stuff.
yeah,
Just
the car. I mean, I don't think it has a technical name other than the car crusher. You know what I mean? They
well,
put they after the cars have been flattened, they grind them out or whatever into tiny particles of metal.
yeah.
I
So
mean, the
when they
best
put
example. Hey, Katie, the best example of one ever in any movie I've ever seen in my entire life, besides Halloween Ends, is probably Superman 3. Because Superman puts Clark Kent on one, throws him through the grinder. You hear Clark screaming as he's being ground up, and they just burst out of it, which I was expecting Michael Myers to do, and then just start slaughtering everyone again. I was
yeah,
almost expecting this film to go in that direction where Michael Myers burst out of the car crusher and just starts stabbing people.
well, I think when they go to space and they like put his body back together, and then he's like, Uber Michael, like Jason X.
You're
I think
not so
that's when
far
that's
off
gonna happen.
because
What?
they were going to do Michael and Pinhead, and God, thank God that movie never happened because the
No.
slew of Pinhead movies and the Weinsteins, it just thank the Dark Lord we never got Halloween, where Michael Myers was going to be Sam Hain, the escaped spirit of Halloween, and that was going to be revealed as the new origin of why Michael Myers goes all crazy. Because he is the escaped body and spirit, or the escaped soul of Sam Hain, the Lord of the Dead, Halloween, the Lord of Hell, whatever you want to call him, based on whatever fiction you want to write about Sam Hain, Samhain, whatever. The kid
Yeah,
from the Trick or Treat movie was going to be Michael Myers' origin story.
yeah. But I don't know. I think this is just about trauma, surviving it, trying to find a way to thrive off that survival and,
Yes.
move on. And I know that it is after, I mean, honestly, while I was watching it and afterwards, I knew this is going to be one of the most divisive films, probably in, I don't want to say horror history. I definitely know of the year. But again, it is David Gordon Green just doing his version of Halloween 3 Season the Witch. I mean, there's some batshit stuff where Corey's like taking on the essence of Michael Myers when they touch, and it's like he's like soaking in the strength from Michael Myers, and Michael Myers is like feeding off his trauma and looking at all the things that has happened. And then when he meets up with Laurie, it's the same thing, but Allison makes sure that no, I'm not gonna do what you did to Corey. I'm not gonna make you turn my grandmother into you.
Yeah.
And I
That.
mean, while that is completely out there, I mean, it is a horror film. You have a guy who was shot 6 times. You have a guy who is 70 something years old and is able to walk when people are practically marathon runners, and he's able to catch them. You have a geriatric man who, for nothing that anyone has ever seen, he's able to drive, which we don't know how. I mean, he was able to drive before he was shot, but he's able to drive. He's able to lift up people with just no working out. I mean, when you're trying and do the reasonable, like, oh, I don't understand how this happened, it is a horror film. There are so many things that don't make any sense. And yet this one was done, I think, very, very well. I mean, like I said, that opening sequence, chef's kiss, like absolutely gorgeous in every way. Looks completely unlike any of the three previously.
Wait,
And actually doesn't even,
better than Kills? Kills
yeah,
opening?
the ends opening looks way better than Kills.
I thought the Kills opening is the best with the whole that actor that got to play Sam Loomis. The fact that he's like, oh, he looks like Donald Pleasance, little makeup, he's Donald Pleasance all of a sudden.
Well, yeah, no, he looks great, but I don't think that entire sequence looks better than Ends. I mean, the way Ends looks, it's like cinematography alone. It's just completely like, I mean, it's gorgeous. Like the way when they do that upward view into the stairs, the bird's eye, with the mom and Corey in the mirror. I mean, that looks nothing like any of the two other films, and it's like absolutely gorgeous.
That
But yeah,
that whole thing with the mom meeting at the bar, I was waiting that entire time for that to happen. That was as I expected it to be, but I like Dad's reaction more. Like, I could forgive, don't tell my wife, I forgive the kid. It's not his fault. He was a good kid. But the kid who killed my son was innocent. The man I saw the other night is no longer Corey. It's like that whole Jamie Lee. No, I'm sorry, not Jamie Lee. Jamie Lloyd. Was that Daniel Harris's character's name from 4 and 5?
yeah.
4, 5, and 6. Well, 4 and 5. Someone else later in 6. That she touched her hand. The evil's passed on. She stabs her stepmother. Then they didn't go anywhere with that in part 5 because go read the history of part. Go read this book for the history of part 5. The that there is an idea there. Honestly, if they had just done the one film with 2018 and just he burns and he's dead, that's fine. But I get that whole response from H2O of like, well, they never found the body. Well, he had both his eyeballs shot up and he was blown up in a hospital. Somehow he's still alive. I don't get that. I mean, he obviously they came up with the McGuff, the oh look, he's behind the door and he saves himself. But all the smoke inhalation, but he's not human.
I mean, it's like I said, I mean, if anyone complains about this, how there logically doesn't make sense. It's like, let's look at, I mean, the first one, he got shot 6 times and he walked away. That doesn't make sense. Like the human body, he's wearing a mechanic's jumpsuit. There's not like he's got like bulletproof vest on or anything like that. I mean,
at least in the Scream films, they have the common sense to put the gun here and then we'll see everything exit out the back.
I mean, what do I say? I liked Halloween Ends. I really hope this is the end of everything with Michael Myers, though. I mean, I think it's a fitting in, and especially since, I mean, he's done. I mean, that is it. He's dog food right now. He is. I wouldn't be surprised if like everyone in Haddonfield like had a piece of him and like took him with him, because that town. It's like something with a town like that small. It's interesting. I was actually reading something about 2 people that died in a small town, and how even 20 years later the town still, you just don't get over that, like it's a murder.
Yeah.
It's a small town, like everyone knows each other, it's like you don't get over those things, like especially like Halloween Kills. Yeah, 36 something people, that people aren't going to forget that. But I don't think it's justified to blame Lori. Again, she's not the one. And it's like the whole thing, like, oh, you taunted him. Like, technically, she was in bed. She thought that in Halloween Kills, she kind of thought that the guy who was, I think, who was also in the bus with Michael Myers, who was in the mental hospital, she thought that was him, realized it wasn't, was trying to get everyone to stop. And then you have that mob mentality. It's like,
God.
no, kill. It's like, you guys, it's not him.
So
and then Karen was the one. Yeah, Karen was the one who was saying that Michael's going to come to the hospital, which is like, no, he was never after Lori, ever.
This movie was hashtag Me Too. This movie was the Capitol attacks. By coincidence, it was the Capital City attack with the mob mentality. They didn't know that was going to happen because they had filmed kills prior to the pandemic, or most of it. And then the new film is just cancel culture, as you said, and the trauma of everything and just dealing with trauma. I mean, the worst thing in the movie you pointed out was, yes, blaming Laurie Strode because the boogeyman got away. I actually started doing some research, and we had a college professor on the show recently, with from a 15th anniversary of Radio Horror, and she talked about that when there is nobody to convict, they're going to find their boogeyman. And
Yep.
what they did in that movie is 100% like what people today would do if Michael Myers was real. They would point the finger at Laurie Strode, and then they would start going off like crazy, like the way they show a very short prologue at the beginning of that movie of people just acting like nuts. And I totally 100% believe that, because if you watch the any documentary like Netflix is putting out, Netflix is just documentary about killers and murderers and monsters. Jesus Christ, it's crazy how much material they have on there. There's so much I'd love to cover, but that should become its own kind of show. There's
Yeah.
one about, about the West Memphis Three, and things like that. Of course, they caught them, and then they found out they were innocent. But there's never been a thing like Michael Myers that we're aware of. The Zodiac Killer, but I don't remember that to him in the fever pitch. They couldn't catch the Zodiac Killer. The Alphabet Killer was never caught. Things like that. We've never, the closest we've ever had to this kind of mass murderer is 9/11 with Osama bin Laden. And since we couldn't catch Osama bin Laden, we would blame the United States government for letting it happen. In the 9/11 hearings and everything. Because we couldn't
I'm
catch
not,
us all. We didn't have our boogeyman to put on trial. We didn't have, SEAL Team 6 hadn't caught him yet. So I think this is the closest thing in the last 22 years that we've had to, that Halloween could be compared to in real life.
I'm gonna go with the Zodiac Killer because you have someone that, I mean, yeah, they never found him. Kind of that huge kind of look about him and stuff like that, and maybe that was a little bit of an inspiration for Carpenter.
Yeah.
But
Oh, Carpenter's music in this with his son is amazing.
yes, got to give it up with that Daniel Davies, Cody Carpenter. Absolutely, I mean the music sounds amazing.
Yes, get the scores.
And then what was it? Yeah. Oh, and then as I had said
before,
before,
do you collect music, by the way?
What?
Do you collect music?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, because I always see you posting like about VHS tapes you get signed and DVDs, but I never see any posts about music, so I wasn't sure unless I missed them. But I didn't know if you collect vinyl scores or CDs.
Vinyl. I have a number of vinyl, and I've
forgot
seen,
the green screen.
I have
6 of the Halloween scores on vinyl.
I've seen Carpenter in concert at least twice, 3 times,
Ooh.
twice.
Woo.
Yeah. Woo. If anyone out there, if you get a chance and he comes back to perform, which I really hope he does, it is just an absolute delight. It is one of my favorite. It was my birthday present to myself, and it was the best time seeing him just ecstatic about performing, doing it with his sons, like having that huge. I saw it at Talia Hall and the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago, and each time was just amazing. The crowd was even bigger, and it was just, yeah, it's definitely go and see him when you can, if he ever does it again, because it is a sight to behold, and honestly, one of the best experiences of my entire life. Like, I love it, love it, love it. And I'm always happy that I did it. But yeah, I forgot to mention that with this film, you have a little bit of that apt pupil kind of thing about it. Yeah. With the other nods to the films that he did, especially Christine, and my little thing with Grease too. But I don't know. I know this is divisive. I know so many people are ragging on it and all that stuff. But when I think about what David Gordon Green, I think, was trying to do was just, reimagine 1, 2, and 3. And I think he did it. And as dumb as some of the stuff I thought was in it, I think it also says a lot of, it has a lot of cultural references and says a lot about society. And Jamie Lee Curtis is great. Allison, is that her name? Andy Matejcik was great. Yeah. I love Judy Greer before she met her demise in Kills. It was amazing to see Kyle Richards. Like, man, she just does not age. She just looks absolutely amazing. And she was especially good in this one, even despite the little bit that she's like trying to do tarot. It's like, girl, you survived Michael Myers, definitely. You know, anything you need to do, smoke some weed, do some tarot, you know, go jump off a mountain, do whatever you need to do to like find your zen. And like, you know, because you need to find some peace too. Like she was a teeny tiny when it happened, and then right up face to face with, you know, up in the throat. Girl,
the Zoom's about to kill. The Zoom's about to kill the call.
Oh.
Yeah. So find Cati over on her Facebook page for the blonde in the blonde in front film critic, and as well look up Radio Horror on radiohorror.wordpress.com or on Radio Horror on Facebook or on Twitter at Christy SAV, and check out the rest of the reviews here. We might do the Devil movie that's coming out this next week. Who knows? I'm not really hyped about that film, so I really don't care. But we'll have to wait and see. But yes, hopefully you liked our long review of the Halloween saga, which is at an end, and hopefully permanently at an end forever. Check out the rest of the videos here. Have a good night and have a happy Halloween.
And it's on Peacock and in theaters. Bye.
Yes.